Hey Baylor fans, this is your call to gear up with Harley-Davidson of Waco. Whether you're hitting the open road or tailgating at McLean Stadium, we've got the ride to match your Bear pride. Check out our wide selection of new and pre-owned motorcycles, visit our service department, or shop all the latest gear and accessories to show off your Baylor spirit and Harley pride. Visit us today and find your freedom on two wheels. Harley-Davidson of Waco, where Baylor fans never ride alone. Visit in-store or at hdwaco.com. Sic Em Bears. Welcome into the Sic Em Podcast, presented by Harley-Davidson of Waco. Harley-Davidson of Waco, as we welcome in Glenn Moore, Baylor softball coach. Are you a motorcycle guy? Are you a Harley-Davidson guy? Have you ever been a motorcycle guy?
Back when I was a kid, I had a motorcycle.
All right.
I against my wife's wishes, bought Ty a motorcycle years ago. So, yeah, I mean, I have, but it's probably best that I stay off of them.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
You saw the light. You matured. All of those good things.
I was a little more elastic in those days. You know, I didn't have the same sense of sense.
Yeah,
that I have today,
that's a good word for it. Very good. Well, thanks for being with us. Happy New Year to you. Some folks say you can't say Happy New Year after the first week, but I haven't seen you in the new year, and it's about to start a new season for you. You've got things ready. You've got your team back together, and opener's not that far away.
Yeah, we got back before classes started because they started today, and we got back last week at this time and had our first team meeting and been going strong 2-a-days, and got some good work in when the weather was much better than it is right now. So it was a good move to do that.
Very good. This is your 25th year here at Baylor. Let that sink in a little bit. 25th year. Does that seem possible to you?
Not really. It's what a blessing it's been. You know, Janice and I, out of selfish desires, asked the Lord to put us somewhere after we got married where we could raise our family, and that was our request to him, obviously wanting to serve him and do what he wanted us to do wherever we went. But God blessed us with not only a place to be for 25 years or to raise our family, but a place like Baylor. I mean, can't ask for much better blessing than that in your marriage and in your and in raising your kids. So we've been very blessed to be here that long.
I would say we've been blessed by having y'all here
Thank
too.
you.
So completely mutual there. And but 25 years, I mean, that's a lot of water under the bridge. Do you ever in a quiet moment think about how things were when you got here and where they are now with the softball program?
Yeah, you know, I do. I don't know if it's a sign of old age, but I like to reflect. I love to reflect on past players, and I keep a list of everybody I've coached, so alphabetical, so I can try to keep as many of them in my phone so I can send a happy birthday. That's just one time a year to reach out to them.
Nice.
But, not just players, but our managers and our coaches and those that have been a part of our program. Even all the way back to LSU and William Carey days, I want to stay in touch with as many of those student athletes as I can. So I reminisce about that. I reminisce about the, coming here whenever the stadium was 1 year old. Paula Young had designed the best stadium in the country and handed the reins over to me. And we've seen a lot of, you said water under the bridge. There's been a lot of water under the bridge, and a lot of it is just memories now, but some great ones.
Yeah, the stadium, add to it the Getterman indoor facility, and the great facilities you've had for all those teams for all those years.
Yeah, and that's enhanced it. When I came to Baylor, the total cost was $17,900 for 1 year, and I was concerned at that because of the cost of a private school. And Ted and Sue Getterman built some facilities that a lot of student athletes, recruits couldn't say no to. They wanted to be a part of. Many aspects of our stadium were the best in the country. We were the first to have a video board. Those things weren't common back in those days. And, the stadium itself, a beautiful place, just couldn't believe it. Many people outside of this area that I showed pictures to thought, well, that's a baseball stadium. They wouldn't do that for softball, but they did it here. And while we've had some success, John, the commitment Baylor and the community put into those facilities played a huge role in attracting nationwide attention from recruits and their parents and travel ball coaches, and allowed us to recruit at a higher level.
And isn't it true that other schools have come through the years and taken notes and taken pictures, of Getterman Stadium and tried to replicate that?
They really have. For a while, anybody, when the SEC was kind of making their move and upgrading all their facilities, all of their coaching staffs and administrators would come over here and tour ours. We'd walk through the stadium and show them what we have. And now that they've built new stadiums, they've built nice, maybe more up-to-date stadiums than what we have. It's 25 years, 26 years old now. But I'll use a quote from a legend in softball, Mike Kendrea, who's won I don't know how many national championships, told me a few years back that ours was his favorite. He said, getting some age on it, but it was built to stand the test of time. And that's just a huge compliment to not me, because I didn't have anything to do with that. The Paula and those that Tom Stanton, those that helped design the original building of Getterman and Baylor Ballpark. It's a beautiful complex over there, the Turner Complex, with tennis and soccer and everything over there, and we're very blessed.
Mike Candrea has his name on the stadium out there at Arizona, and the Gettermans, of course, so generous for so many years to softball, but to so many sports.
Right.
And isn't it fun? Miss Ted has passed away, but Miss Sue is, I see her pretty regularly at games. She still likes to come out, doesn't she?
She does. I think 95 years old now, and still comes out and cheers on the Lady Bears and helps us out. Drives herself many times out here. She does. So she's changed my life. I think, if you really could quantify what she's done to the sport and raising the bar for many others, because others have looked at what we've done here and even done better in some situations, but the lives she's changed because of that. She would be the first to give God the credit for the success and her ability to help out, and in turn, it's been a conviction of mine and our staff to live up to those standards and putting good use to the blessings that she's blessed us with.
Yeah, I know that is for all of you. You're interested in not just your players as student athletes and players, but you're interested in the whole person and growing them and the four pillars that we talk about in Baylor athletics. Part of that is each year you do a spiritual retreat, don't you, leading into the season? We
do. And a few years back, Ben and Catherine Johnson came up with this idea, and we jumped on a bus and went out to Glen Rose and started it out there, and it has we've continued, and I sent them a message this morning, and they're no longer a part of it from that standpoint, but they planted the seed, and it was their idea, so I'll make sure they know what's going on. I said, look at what you planted, and we've watered it, and now God's giving the increase, and we had 2 baptisms this weekend. We had a few last year, and I think 5 or 6 the year before. So, it's a mission field here at Baylor. Baylor University is a mission field, and we're fortunate to do something we love as far as softball in trying to do God's work in the lives of these young people. But there's a need, and there's a hunger, and we try to fulfill that aspect of it. And plus, we want to just lay the foundation for each year in Christ and allow Him to do through us what He wants us to do. So that's our objective, and it's changed a few lives because of Him.
And isn't it great to be at a place, like we started out talking about, a place like Baylor that not only allows that, but encourages that and helps foster those type of activities?
It really is. It's a special place, and you can't do that everywhere, unfortunately. But sports, I've always said, is the greatest mission field. We have to take the church outside the 4 walls of a building and go into the world, and that's what the Great Commission is to do just that. And softball is a great vehicle in sports in general, especially in our country where it's prioritized to such a high degree to change some lives and lead people as the Great Commission tells us to lead them.
Yeah. I'm sure in 25 years of coaching here, 28 total, you stay in touch with your former players and staff members and trainers and managers, all of them. I'm sure you get some good reports back, don't you, of stories as they moved on with their lives following Baylor?
Yeah, there's quite a few, and that's motivational whenever you hear from them. And I had my very first collegiate pitcher from William Carey show up with her daughter at our camp this past weekend, and I haven't seen her in 30 years, so somewhat stayed in touch. We have the same birthday, and she's a big West Virginia fan, so if they happen to beat Baylor, I hear about it, but we've stayed in touch. But, those relationships are not taken lightly. And as I was a younger coach, we talked about this weekend, I was probably winning's always going to be important, and it should be. But I was probably a little more headstrong then and a little tougher to deal with. So we had some great reminiscing stories to talk about. But, it's just a blessing to be in a business that allows you to cross paths with so many different lives and families, and their children now. You're getting to see them create their own families, have their own families, and it's just come full circle in many instances and very rewarding.
Yeah. So what was her name again?
Heather Rawson Austin now.
Okay. So how is Glenn Moore, the coach, the person, different now? It'd be about 30 years later than when Heather was your first pitcher.
Yeah. So I don't know that my desire to be a different coach in some ways has changed a whole lot. I was the old school coach back then that I don't think you can be today. So I think a lot of coaches get out of the business because they're not willing to adapt and change to the new kid, if you will. And I think I've changed because of the need to change. And if we're headstrong to the point of where it's my way or the highway, then you need to move on to something else. But if our objective is to have an influence over the lives of these young people and help them move on to the next chapter of their life and be very productive citizens, and certainly help them grow spiritually, then you've got to be willing to change and adapt to what they need and what they respect, and just to connect with them. So I've changed in that regard a great deal. I get some of the older ones that know that you and I were talking off air, the county fair. Some of the girls that went through our county fair back in the day have great animosity toward the ones that are not going through it today, because we no longer do that. But I've had to change. But the great purpose here is that we connect with these individuals and we teach them the game of softball, and we compete, and we teach them what winning is about, and consequences of failure, and consequences to mistakes and lack of effort, and all those things are still very valuable, and we do that, but certainly in a different manner, and probably not as much running for punishment as there is other ways of getting the point across.
Yeah, I got you. You've been amazingly consistent with your staff through the years. Going back to Lum, who was with you for 20-plus years, and Brittany, who's with you to this day, and Hoot has come in and stepped right in and fits your culture of your sport and the sport very well, and add in Megan and add in Danny. I mean, you've been very consistent with that staff.
So I do a lot of praying. I know that I need prayer, I need guidance, I need wisdom. So I ask for all those things, and God has blessed me with them, and I do that over every recruit or hire that I make. And God leads those people to our program, and I understand that their role in our program is just as important as mine. And I think I give them a lot of freedom to be who they are. And Brittany is just, man, she put me on the map as a pitcher, a Hall of Fame pitcher, All-American, national team pitcher. She put me on the map to start with, and then joined me and has been with me for 22 years, 21 years now. She's been at Baylor herself, and you talk about a connection, a mom who has 2 kids and a wife, and just a great example. She can connect with these young people, and Danny as well, Megan. And so I just think that this is an environment that they understand the purpose, and it's not just about winning. That's a byproduct of doing it the way we do it. And I think that it's an environment that they want to be in, and when they see the lives that are changed, it motivates us to keep doing it. I know every year we complain about our camps. No coach likes to do camps, coming off of a season
Right.
after you're exhausted and really can't pick up your arms and working 7 days a week sometimes. And then you're going to start an overnight camp where you're going to have 12 to 16-year-old kids come in for a week. And then our camps are our ministry as well. So when we see lives changed and decisions made to follow Christ in those camps, at the end of them, we've refueled, and we're like, we have to keep doing this. We can't go to just a one-day camp. We do some of those, but we've got to do have to have the time that we can put into the lives of these young people. And they all have that same motivation. All these coaches understand the importance of winning, and we'll butt heads. We'll have our knockdown, drag-out meetings, and they respect the fact that I have to make the final decision. But I want those types of meetings so we can come up with the best decision. But there's a great respect and camaraderie with our staff, and we have all kinds of different personalities that just seem to fit the pieces of the puzzle just right.
I think I know the answer to this, but is the fire still there for you, as you get near the start of a season, burning, to move into a new year, and you know what that's like?
Yeah.
You've been through it so many times.
That is a question that I get asked often, and I even ask myself, when will be the time that I'll need to say that it's not fair to the sport or to the program for me to continue to hang around. I've been doing it a long time, and burnout is a problem. And I went through probably in my career a little bit of that at one point in time where I was really questioning whether I needed to move or if God was moving me. And that, eventually went away and over a short period of time. But every year, John, at the end of the fall, moving into the Christmas holidays when we are not allowed to recruit, I get questions about, are you ready for softball to start? Because people are ready.
Sure.
They want to see it. They want to get it going. And that's the time where I don't even want to really hear the word softball. And I do typically wonder if that feeling's going to come back. And to this day, after New Year's, immediately I start getting the itch again, and I start putting the lineups together, and I start putting practices together, and I can't wait for the first game to get here. So when I lose that, it'll be time to move on, I think. God will be sending me in a different direction. But so far, it's still here, and I've been doing this a long time.
Yeah, that's the answer I expected. But you'll know. You'll be the first to know. You or Janice, she may prompt you a little bit, but y'all will be the first to know, won't you?
I think she's afraid I'll be at home too much. When I come back from recruiting for 3 or 4 days, she'll ask me, don't you have another recruit
Right.
you need to go evaluate somewhere? But I think we will be. That's what I'm anticipating. But so far, God's got work for us to do, and we're eager and excited and blessed to do it.
Can we look at big picture college athletics, a little more specific college softball? A lot of changes the last few years. And like you said, you've kind of rolled with the punches. You have to change with the times, don't you? But where do you feel like we are now in your sport?
Yeah. Well, it's a lot of unknowns, and some of the areas that I don't like, I've been pretty open and honest about it. I think probably most coaches would fit into the same category as far as the NIL and the portal. Those are the two hot topics right now. It's I don't know where we're going with it, but there's a lot of uncertainty. For me to sit here and say that I just absolutely think it's a disgrace might be a little disingenuous, hypocritical, because we've benefited from the portal almost to a person. Everybody we've brought in has been a positive influence on our team and our program. And have, in some senses, a greater respect for Baylor than they did where they were. And that's a joy to coach a kid like that. The NIL is a little bit of a different beast because you've got programs that weren't even ranked, in the past that are now, moving in top 15 and top 10 because they're able to buy teams. And I think it's only human nature to want as much of a level playing field as you can possibly get. That's never going to be the exact way it is. Everybody's going to have their own advantages. But so there's plenty of dialogue there, plenty to discuss, plenty of opinions, and that's probably good therapy for coaches to sit and talk about. their likes and their dislikes. But at the end of the day, God's still sending us 20 to 25 souls that he wants us to do something with, regardless of whether they're All-Americans or they're fighting to get on the field. They're just as important, and we are going to have a full roster of lives that need guidance.
Very good. That's such an eternal look at your program, at your roster, and they're so much more than student athletes.
Yeah, and that is the way it should be. I know the competitor inside of me wants to win.
Right,
right. I want to win championships. I want to be at the World Series. We were really close last year, and last year was a very rewarding year because we were 1-8 when we started our conference run, and then ended up fighting tooth and nail to get to the playoffs, and then we end up getting in the NCAAs and doing well. And it left a little taste in our mouth to where we want more this year. So it was very rewarding to go through those trials and struggles. And that's human. That's the human side of you. But I also think that when you win, you get a platform, and you got to make sure that you use that platform to glorify God as well.
Very, very great finish last year. You had to work so hard to get to the NCAA tournament, and then you're in there and you win the regional, and you win away from winning the super regional and getting to the College World Series. I mean, that was a great season when you look at it as a whole last year.
Yes, and there was the dynamics of last year's season would blow people away. I could probably write a book on just last year. We go to Palm Springs and win all 5 games, the most prestigious non-conference tournament in the country. Beat some really good teams, UCLA, Missouri, everybody we played. It was close games, and we win. We lose 5 within 2 weeks after that. We have 5 starters out of our lineup. So we blow a couple ACLs, a couple other things happen, and kids are out of our lineup. Got a couple of them back, but didn't get all of them back. Our number 1 pitcher was still not back, and Daria Orm, and she ultimately didn't come back. So we had to do what we did with athletes other than those we expected to have, and we go 1-8 to start the Big 12. Easily could have thrown in the towel. Showed a lot about the character. I kept, as coaches, we just kept pressing the fact that we had at the time the number 1 strength of schedule in the country, and we had done that for a purpose. But we came within 5 games of not being above 500 to even be considered for an NCAA tournament team, and went on a 9-0 tear at the end of the Big 12 and finished strong, and went to Louisiana and won that regional, and went and played in one of the top regionals in the country, and came really close to knocking Florida off and getting to our next World Series. And we're 10 feet away on that ball that Shaylin Govan hit to walking it off and going to the World Series. So that was close, but it left. The good thing is had we not gone at all to the NCAAs, then we'd be in a total rebuilding position this year, because we were able to fight through it and get there. And now we're a team with a little chip on our shoulder and think we should have been there. And the team that beat us out finished 3rd in the World Series, so they had a good run too in Florida. So I think we're starting off from a good place, and hopefully going to have our pitcher back that we didn't have last year. Lost a couple, but some kids are stepping up, and I think this team is, it's going to take some time to get our identity, but it's very capable of making another run.
And health-wise, you're ready to go? Health-wise, in good shape?
We've got 2 pitchers that outside of Dari, we've got 2 that have come off of surgeries that are released, and we need to position them and coach them and use them in the right manner to let them grow. And a lot of question marks with those 2, but we think both can contribute. Lily Walker is our first lefty we've had in a while, transfer from Duke, that was in the World Series last year. We're expecting big things out of her. And then Daria Orm, is really, really good, but she won't be really, really good until mid-season and toward the end of the season. But we haven't had her for a postseason yet. So if we can get her healthy by postseason and play well enough, we've just got to keep everything in perspective. I think we have one of the best defenses I've ever coached, and that's what I've told her. Let's put it on their shoulders for a while. Don't feel like you've got to win the games yourself. Let your defense help you, and we'll take it on the chin here and there. But we've got a team that could possibly be one of the best we've had here if everything works out. Goes back to getting healthy, I think, and if we manage it the right way, we could have a pretty special year.
Man. Well, looking forward to it. Thanks for your time. You know I appreciate you and the job you do on the field and off. And we're glad you're here and looking forward to the silver anniversary season. How about that?
That sounds really old right there, but I'm blessed to be here, and I really appreciate you too, John. Thank you.
Appreciate it. Glenn Moore, Baylor softball coach season is upon us, and that's our Sic Em Podcast presented by Harley Davidson of Waco.